Welcome to another Mayor's Update here in the city of Peekskill. I'm Mayor John Testa, and here we are in the beginning of December, and we are ready to finish off the year. But before I talk about the items of today's update, first I just want to thank the citizens of Peekskill for giving their confidence to me for another 2-year term as the mayor of the city. I'm very honored to be able to be the mayor of Peekskill and the place where I grew up. And rest assured, I'll be working very hard, as I know you want me to continue everything we've been planning and doing and putting into place. And that's what we're going to be doing over the next 2 years. So again, thank you very much for all your confidence. And if you remember the last update, which was a few months back before the election, I talked about Central Avenue with Dave Greener, who was our Director of City Services here in the city of Peekskill. And being a few months later, it's time to give the latest update. And I have Dave Greener here with me again today. Dave, thanks for being here.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having me.
it. And a lot has happened since the last update. If you remember, we were on site, and we were talking about all that was going to be done with Central Avenue, redirecting the brook into a new box culvert and opening up close to 300 feet of the brook and so forth and so on. Well, here we are, and all that has been done. So why don't you give us a brief update of where we are today?
Well, it took us a little longer than we expected. As you're aware, we hit about 400 or 500 feet of rock. We had to blast through. But we finally got the culvert is in, the brook is open. We still have some minor touch-up work to do, like the curbs and the sidewalk going down Central Avenue. And then I'm going to be designing the lower parking lot right now, which is what we're working on. As you can see, the upper parking lot, we did extend it. We put new walls up. Those walls are going to be stone-faced with a veneer. And I have a wrought iron fence to go around the top. We just planted 40 trees today on that, so it's really starting to pick up.
Just so everybody understands exactly where you're talking about, the upper parking lot is the parking lot right next to the police station.
That's right.
Correct? And that has been basically doubled in size for the most part, or
Yeah, pretty much.
pretty close to that?
Close to triple.
Okay. And that has been extended out. If everybody might remember, the wall that was just below the parking lot next to the police station that went into the sidewalk basically of Central Avenue was on an angle. And now it's at a 90-degree, which was enabled you to get the extra space. And obviously that all had to be dug up anyway because of the new box culvert going in. And because of the property we obtained from Con Edison, which was just below that, that's now being called the lower parking lot.
That's correct. We're still in the process of purchasing that property from Con Ed. We're in negotiations right now. I wanted to add that Central Avenue probably will be open by next Wednesday. All we have left to do really to secure the street is to fill the existing 96-inch piping with K-Crete.
Okay.
I just don't want to open it to the truck traffic and vehicles yet because of the vibrations. We might create another sinkhole.
We're taping today is December 5th, and so when you say that, we're talking about the 15th or 16th around there of December is what you're talking about.
Comfortably we're looking at Friday, but I want to leave myself.
Okay. Oh, you always need to do that.
Problems we ran into.
So also so people understand when you say K-Crete and filling in, the project was to eliminate the use of the round corrugated culvert that was presently failing, which is why this whole project was initiated to begin with.
That's correct.
And since it's been redirected to the new cement box culvert, the existing culvert is still in place. And the plan was to, instead of digging up even more of the street and more sidewalk, what has been decided was to leave it in place and to just fill that in with a cement-like material you call K-Crete.
That's correct. We didn't want to compromise any more of the utilities than we had to. Plus, it would have created like a 30-foot hole in front of the art loft, which I was a little shaky about in the first place. That's why we did a redesign.
I think this is a great way to do it, and it eliminates even more disruption. And when you say utilities, obviously Con Edison was a big part of this project because of their extensive amount of cabling that's in Central Avenue, especially since there were, the property we got on Central Avenue, as we're talking about, to be the lower parking lot eventually, was where their transfer station was. So obviously Central Avenue has been historically a very important avenue for them.
Right, well, Con Ed even considers still that intersection as a major hub. It feeds parts of Cortland, Shrub Oak, Yorktown, as well as Buchanan and everything else south of here. I mean, We have, there's like 13,000 volt lines
Right.
just in Nelson Avenue alone. There's also a gas transfer and regulation station that's underneath Central Avenue, down by what will be the lower lot when we're
Right.
done.
So all the excavation is done, all the major work is done now. We're doing some of the top level work, and I know you're doing a lot of cement work as we speak. As you say, you planted a lot of trees today even. And why don't you just give a little highlight about the sidewalk change and the addition of some parking area?
Well, I know that parking has always been an issue in the city, so any place we can that we can put additional parking, we will. As you come off of Nelson Avenue and you head west on Central Avenue, it was just a small area. Even though it's only 4 or 5 spots, it's still a visitor area, whether it's for the art lofts or for the police department. But we jutted the curb in and still left enough sidewalk room, obviously. We needed a minimum of 5 feet. We were able to add 5 spaces there, and you figure with the 2 parking lots together, we're going to add an additional 75 to 80 spots, vacant spots, in the Nelson Avenue ramp as well.
Yeah, that's an important point, Dave, because part of this whole downtown revitalization project we have going on Main Street, obviously, and all the new stores and all the new people coming into town, we need more parking all the time. So this additional parking with the police and the lower lot will take all the police vehicles out of the Nelson Avenue ramp, I should say, and free up quite a number of spaces, as you say. And also, those 4 or 5 spots that you added on Central Avenue are very important because obviously people who live in the art lofts have visitors come from time to time, and they'll have a place to park now. But also, people who have to go in the library maybe for a little bit, or into the neighborhood center, or into the police station, will not have to park in the ramp, across the street, and so forth. Now they can park right there, get out, and walk right into the police station or the library or the court or wherever they have to
Yeah,
go.
well, I'm a big fan of convenience, and I feel that convenience, if a shopper or somebody passing through town, if it's convenient for them to pull in front of the store or the business where they want to go, they're more apt to do so if the parking is available. That's why when we discussed next year and the following year CDBG funds that are coming in, that's why we're proposing the parking changes that we are. This way we can double or even triple the downtown parking that we have.
That's going to be a big project as 2006 moves along, as we discussed that. And just to finish up on the Central Avenue site going down, the cascading water is now there, and I was down there the other day. It looks beautiful. It's a really nice touch to have that all open again and to have the water exposed. And then, obviously, the job of replanting the rose garden from the garden club. That's being designed as we speak, right?
That's correct. We still have to meet with the garden club. We met initially with them, I believe it was a week and a half ago. We're going to meet with them again this week. We're going to reestablish the garden club. We're also going to put a little wooden walk-across bridge by the cascading water, which will not be exclusive to the garden club, but we will. The garden is looking to initiate the Patriots Garden, which they got a grant for.
Right.
So we want to try and incorporate that bridge into the Patriots Garden,
Very
and
nice.
then reestablish the Rose Garden back, which I think was a really nice touch for over there.
Well, that's going to be great. And in the springtime, we'll go there for an update, and we'll see all that in bloom and everything in place. And just before you go, Dave, I'd just like to say that I know this was an emergency situation that, as we all know, being in an old city and having over century-old utilities here and there, and failing sewers from time to time, or whatever. Things happen, as they say.
Yeah, things definitely happen.
And you really stepped up to the plate. You worked really hard. I know you put a lot into it, a lot of anxiety as well with this type of a project, and you do a great job, and I want to thank you for everything you do.
I appreciate it. Thank you
Thanks
very
a lot.
much.
So again, I want to thank Dave Greener for taking the time to be with me today and give that update of Central Avenue. We will continue to bring you updates as need be throughout the course of 2006. Also, over these last couple of months, a lot of things have happened within the city. A lot of good things for our promotional efforts and our economic development efforts that we're ongoing continuously here in the city. And you might have seen this, the November issue of Westchester Magazine. Westchester Magazine, if you remember, last year declared Peekskill as one of the top 10 places to live in Westchester. And again, they followed up with a major piece about our downtown, an 8-page story about all the things happening in downtown Peekskill, the great new shops, the restaurants. There's a wonderful piece on the coffee house, the Paramount, Rubens Cafe, and the mural on the side of the Paramount East, and the Sam and Zanzi's toy shop, the new toy shop, which I know is a very big hit, especially now in the holiday season, and all the jewelry that is available in downtown. So this has been a very, very important promotional tool for us here in the city, and Westchester Magazine, again, recognizing Peekskill for what we've been able to do. And this is Westchester County-wide, and outside of Westchester, people get this magazine, and has brought a lot of people here. So if you haven't seen it, try to pick up a copy. I don't know if November copies are still around, but it's a wonderful article on Peekskill in the downtown. Also, what just came out is our latest Peekskill historical newsletter. This is something we get a grant for. We've gotten for the last 3 years, and we put out 3 to 4 issues a year, and we continue to keep getting the grants from the state. And this is a wonderful way to have an additional bit of information out to the public about the historic nature of Peekskill and all the wonderful things that we have here. This being a little bit dedicated toward architecture and the buildings we have here, the Greek Revival buildings in Peekskill. And there's a lot about some of the other projects going on in terms of the Len House, the Lincoln Depot, and some other historic buildings in the downtown and in Peekskill. And Historic Preservation Advisory Board and the Downtown Landmarks Board participate in this. John Curran, our city historian, does all the writing for this, and we keep it all in-house, and it's a great publication. You can get this in the library or in City Hall if you don't have a copy. It's something well worth taking a look at if you're interested in the history of Peekskill, and especially the buildings that we have here. And speaking of downtown, a number of grants came through over the last couple of months. A number of significant grants, I should say, have come through to us that will be really helping us over the next couple of years. The first one being a Main Street grant, and the governor was here back in October to help us announce the acceptance of a $200,000 Main Street grant, which will be used downtown for businesses and building owners to tag on to or add on to the other work that's being done downtown. So we'll have more buildings restored, we'll have second floors converted, and we'll have even more activity in the downtown. So having these grants to help the building owners and the business owners improve their buildings and really add to the atmosphere we're creating downtown is important. So that's a big grant that we have coming to the city this year.
From the City Council and Don Bennett and Mel Bolden, we appreciate their being here. And I do want to make an announcement, but first, just a little history. I am the first governor in 175 years to have served as mayor before becoming governor. It just was incredible to me when someone told me that statistic when I first got elected governor. But from all the different backgrounds that governors have come from, we haven't had one who served as the executive of a local community, a city, a town, a village in 175 years. And I think it gives me a very valuable perspective that other governors haven't had. Because I remember not that long ago, although I had more hair and no gray hair, when I was down Main Street a little bit and sitting in City Hall. And having grown up and loving this great town with every ounce of my fiber, I would think about how we could make Peekskill a little better. How we could take an area or a building that needed help and provide that help. And at the same time, understanding that you had to protect the taxpayers, you had to protect the finances, you had to make sure that the budgets of the city were soundly balanced. At that time, there was no place you could look to at the state for help. If you went to them and said, hey, I have this great idea as to how we can renovate a historic building in downtown Peekskill, they would have said, good luck. Or more likely, they would have said, well, you know, you can't do anything that's going to violate this provision or that provision. Instead of helping, the state too often stood in the way. So as governor, we've tried to put in place policies that allow local officials not just to have that vision, but to make that vision come true for the people that they lead. And today, we're announcing some grants under our Main Street program. That is one of the programs that we created. We started this a couple of years back, where the state would put out requests, communities would compete with ideas as to how they could revitalize their downtown historic business districts, and they would also have to match funds. The state wasn't just going to write a check. They would have to get local property owners, shopkeepers, entrepreneurs, local government to match every dollar that the state provides. And today I'm here to announce another round, $1.2 million of state funds to help revitalize the downtown areas of some of our lower Hudson Valley communities. And right here in Peekskill, Mayor, your team did a spectacular job. And this is a very competitive process. You can imagine that communities across the state all want these funds. Well, I'm pleased to announce that the city of Peekskill has won and will be getting a $200,000 grant right here to help renovate the facades, the interiors, and the streetscape of the buildings in this great historic part of Peekskill. And to Mayor Testa and to the council and to your professional team, congratulations, because, as I said, and as Commissioner Colagero knows, this is a very competitive process, and only those best applications that make the strongest case win. And of course, here in Peekskill, you have this historic district. You have the Artist's Loft that we worked together on just around the corner. You have the Live Work Arts District downtown. And it's just a tribute to how the city can provide the leadership. And then working with the local property owners, the shopkeepers, the entrepreneurs, the artists, and now state government, we can move great cities like Peekskill forward again.
The Hudson Valley Center for Contemporary Art received a $120,000 grant. Whenever you own a building and have a museum, obviously the infrastructure of the museum and the condition of the building is always an important part of protecting what's inside, but also maintaining the building is a very expensive prospect within itself. And the roof in the Hudson Valley Center had some problems, and it's a flat roof, so it's an expensive job. So the governor recognized that, and as I've reached out to him over the last year or two to make him aware of things in Peekskill that could use some help. And the Hudson Valley Center, I'm on the advisory board for the center, so it was easy for me to reach out and try to help with obtaining funds, and the governor was able to do that. $120,000 toward the roof job that will be done on the center, as well as the same amount of money going to the Pic Skill Museum. The Pic Skill Museum on Union Avenue is a treasure here in the city of Peekskill. Has wonderful collection inside, ever-growing collection, and there's always wonderful projects going on and programs and displays going on there. And that is an original, building. It's from the 1800s, and it's a Victorian building with a slate roof. And that roof, the original slate roof, is now in the point where it needs to be replaced or repaired as much as can be saved as possible. But most of it will probably have to be replaced due to the fact that it's so old. And again, a $120,000 grant to the museum to help them in that project is also coming this year. So two wonderful pieces of important structures here in the city, important programs for the city will be helped. Also, Sue Kelly, our Congresswoman, was here recently to announce to us that Peekskill is going to be receiving just under $1 million of transportation funds for various projects within the city. Some major roadways that are just too expensive for us to dedicate our annual repaving program toward. We have additional funding coming in to help us do some major repaving of some really needed streets in Peekskill, some major streets, one of them being Brown Street, which is where the Paramount is. And if you drive down Brown Street, you'll see a patchwork of repairs throughout the street for many excavations that were done over the past few years from Con Edison as well as others, some of the work that was done there. So that whole street will be repaved, as well as Riverview and a few others. And also, some of that money will help us relocate and construct a new city garage, which we'll be talking about in 2006 as well. The DPW garage on the corner of Louisa and South Street is in dire need of not only being replaced but moved because of its condition there. So we'll be working on that this coming year as well. And another major addition that we got this year was a grant from the governor's office for $1 million. And that $1 million is dedicated to hiring 3 new police officers here in the city of Peekskill. We have a wonderful police department. They work very, very hard. We've had 3 steady years. Now we're going to have a 4th year in a row of crime reduction in the city of Peekskill. But we've had a number of officers out on disability who were hurt on the job, which stretched our overtime, as well as some initiatives that we were able to implement, but we want to have the ability to even bring them out even more, such as the bike patrol and some foot patrols, hopefully in 2006 as well. So having 3 additional police officers here in the city of Peekskill is going to go a long way to help us with all our efforts. And the best part of it is it's not going to cost the taxpayers any money, at least for 3 years. So for the next 3 years, we'll be able to pay for that through this grant. And by then, as all the projects are in place and the additional revenues are coming into the city, we'll be able to absorb that cost as well. So it's all planned for a very successful future. And again, I want to thank the governor. I want to thank Chief Tumalo for all the work he does. And he'll have the job of bringing these 3 new police officers in, and Andy Pole from the police union, the PBA, who has worked closely with us and with me, especially over the last year or so, to make sure that things are going well between the city and the police and everything is up as planned. So I want to thank all of them, and you'll be able to see that in 2006 as well. Parks and Rec have been very busy also this fall. And the Parks and Rec Department have a couple major projects going on. One of them is in Depew Park, and unfortunately, we were hoping to show you the tennis courts in Depew Park that have been, one of them has been resurfaced with an all-weather court, synthetic material, which is a great looking court there in Depew Park, as well as the resurfacing of the asphalt court that's right across from it. So we'll have to wait for the springtime, and we'll go there and show you. But I just wanted to let you know, in case you were seeing the work going on, or maybe you have walked by to see it, that the 2 tennis courts there have been resurfaced. And once springtime comes and the high school tennis team is there playing, they'll also have the opportunity to use the new courts. And also on Franklin Park is being reconstructed as we speak, a very major block, basically a block-long project that's underway. And hopefully that will be finished soon. If not, it'll be finished in the spring. Just a matter of the weather now in terms of getting the sidewalks in surrounding the park and some of the finishing touches to the park itself. So in the springtime, we'll bring you a final version of Franklin Park, but it is a major, major reconstruction and redevelopment there on Franklin Street and part of Simpson Place and Smith Street. So we're looking forward to that in the springtime. We'll also bring you, when it's completed, and it's almost to that point, is the Annsville Trail segment, the lower trail preserve. That is coming to a conclusion as well, and that is a major project we'll be able to bring you the final version of soon, hopefully as well. For those of you who have not have noticed or not have heard, the city budget for 2006 has been passed with a 0% tax increase. So we're very, very proud of that. And again, it really points out to everything we've been able to put in place over the last 3 or 4 years has really come to fruition here. We've gotten through the terrible times that the whole state had to endure, with the retirement contribution being dramatically increased, as well as all the insurance costs going up. We weathered the storm, as we said we would. It was a 3-year plan, and we did it in those 3 years. And now we're into a 0% tax increase. We have such a great future to predict for our finances within the city, as long as everything keeps on track. And that's what we plan to do, keep everything on track so we can enjoy a real solid fiscal future for the city, and that's what we're going to be able to do. And finally, let me just say, I'm very proud again to be the mayor of the city of Peekskill, and actually all of City Hall are very proud to be working for the citizens of Peekskill on a day in and day out basis. And a few years ago, Mike Miner suggested a nice little way for the citizens to see how much we really appreciate their trust and their confidence by just wishing the community a happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday to everyone from Peekskill. And you'll see that little holiday cheer, if it's not already running on the government channel. You'll see it from time to time between now and New Year's, I'm sure. So again, on behalf of the City Council, the people of Peekskill City Hall, and everyone here in the government of Peekskill, I want to wish you all here in Peekskill a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season and a very happy and healthy New Year. Thank you very much.